Thank you. For anyone that wasn't there last night when Clint introduced me, Ron Zellman, married 20 years, 5 kids. Absolutely, as Pastor was saying, not an expert at all in this. I just learned 5 different ways on how not to raise a child, so still working on that. But so I wanted to start off with Proverbs 22:6. Right? Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Very familiar. I think a lot of us have heard that. And that verse is, normally used talking about raising children, parenting, and usually focused on pointing our children to the Lord, salvation, devotions, prayer time, that discipleship, ministry, and raising them in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And then you also have Psalms 127:3-5, right? Lo, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them, that shall speak with the enemies in the gate. Right? And so that example of the arrow, right, is kind of the aim small, miss small, where pastors taught on this. What's your goal for your children? Where are you directing them, right? And so when you release that arrow, right, it has a trajectory, it has an aim point, and then us as parents, right, we're the bowmen. So as we're working in our faith in the Lord, our walk, and everything else, that's the stronger we are, the stronger bowman. The farther you can pull it back, right, the farther that they're going to go when you let it go. And then my favorite one is, happy is the man that has a quiver full. My quiver's full, right? So I know everyone has a different size quiver. I thought it was full at 4, and then I launched an arrow off. My daughter was 19, went off, and God said, "Oh, there's room for another one." And so we had one more. So I think I'm going to keep that quiver full for a while. But with all that, how you're working with your children and everything that we just talked about, pointing them towards the Lord, all that prayer time, devotion, that's the foundation of what I'm going to talk about. But I wanted to do a more practical, application of that same verse. When I think of, when we're training up a child in the way they should go, it's also that 24/7 family time in the house, right? I kind of use the example as we're the model, right? We're showing them in everything that we do, from the way that we treat our wife, the time that we spend with them, everything. They're looking at us, and that's what they're learning from us. As we set that example, our interactions, reactions with them. So just to give you a little background on my experience, so I wasn't saved. I came from a divorced family. My parents got divorced when I was very young, and then my mom remarried shortly after that, so I had a stepfather. So every other weekend I'd go and stay with my father. My dad was a tremendous athlete, but what we were doing was he was always playing softball, basketball, all right, bowling. I mean, you name it, he was good at it. So he had this very busy lifestyle. So when we go for visit, we go with him for the weekend. We were just going along so he could be with his friends and partake in his sports and in his activities, and we just kind of sat around and we watched. We're kind of spectators, and that's how we spent the weekends. And then my stepfather, polar opposite. He was a gearhead, right? Working on engines, everything else. He rebuilt 55 Ford pickup. It took him 7 years. I remember watching him do that, and that's what he spent his time doing. He worked. He was a hard worker, and then all of his time was in the garage, working on kind of his love, which was the truck. So again, I wanted to go out to the garage, see what's going on. Well, again, it was sit, be quiet, don't say a word. It was a spectator. I could sit there as long as I didn't distract him. Then usually he was going to get frustrated about something, and he wanted to not be near him and go away. So that was my experience in interaction as far as family time. It was just along for the ride, a spectator, while they were doing their activities and what they were passionate about, which didn't really involve us, you know. So that's the background in my family experience. So, you know, moving forward, I got saved when I was 24. Small church plant, Groton, Connecticut, and there was one church member in there. His name was Charlie Wong, and I was just amazed by him. He was a godly father, husband, successful in his career, but you wouldn't know it unless you spent time with him and asked him questions. Right? He was humble about it, and I was drawn to him. Newly saved, so I was kind of his Timothy. A lot of mentoring. Spent a lot of time with him, and one of the things I noticed with him was just his family life. They had such a unity. They ministered together, right? They played sports together. So as a family, they go out, they play tennis, they go out and play a par 3 course and do golf. They played games together, and there's just this joy. They were just happy to be around each other, and I saw that, and it was like completely contrary to my experience. I know my parents loved me, but definitely the way his family life was not what I experienced. And so I kind of purposed in my heart that's what I wanted, and that's what I wanted my family life to be. One, with his relationship, between me and my wife, from his example as he was as a husband and then as a father, to have that relationship that he had with his kids. Sorry, I need to flip it. So to be honest with you, it wasn't easy for me at first, because it wasn't natural to me. It's not the model that I had seen growing up, so it wasn't something that was second nature to seek those things out and to be with the kids. So it took a lot of effort at first with my priorities and focusing on spending time with the kids. And just because I purposed in my heart and I had prayed about it, Pastor has talked about this, had a goal, but goal, you also got to have a plan of action, right? How are you going to accomplish that goal? Just to say, yeah, I want that, it takes action to get it. You have to put forth the effort and sometimes some sacrifice, right? I'm sure all of us in here have competing priorities in our life, right? Work's important, got to do that. So I work long hours. I know lots of people do, up early. And I did my career backwards because of life choices that I had made. So so I was in the military, married, kids, and then doing college. So working, then doing college, doing that at night. Then we have requirements, joint professional military education requirements, all that. Very time consuming, right? Fitting in time for devotions and just all that stuff, right? You quickly, when you're dealing with deadlines, those are usually the first things that you try and do. So very busy. So had to develop a plan and purpose on how we're going to spend time with the kids. So to give you some examples of how we do that. So one, I like motorcycles, right? So there's one thing that I did do, with my stepfather. We did have, he got me a mini bike when I was little, so then I had a moped and everything else. So I grew up on 2 wheels and loved it. So I like to ride dirt bikes also. So one of the great things is I didn't want to be that model that I had seen before me, to where I was off by myself doing something I was passionate about. Now, there's nothing wrong with having something that you do, that you go and do, that maybe others aren't interested in, but for that to be your passion and always doing it without your family, I didn't want that. So I was fortunate enough that my family was interested in it too. So next thing you know, we had found I got 5 dirt bikes. We got them used, but we got them and had the whole family out there riding dirt bikes and enjoying it. So it was something that I like to do, and we could do together as a family. So I wasn't off doing my own thing without them. And even, you're thinking, how does a 4-year-old ride a dirt bike? Well, she doesn't. We bring toys. She likes to play in the dirt, has a great time. Usually you're trying to stop kids from getting filthy dirty. It's like, oh, have fun. She's covered in red dirt, and then I'll throw her up on the gas tank of my bike and ride her around, and she'll, faster, faster, Daddy, and then start hitting the bumps, and then she always yells, "I love dirt biking," as loud as she can while we're doing it. So it's fun, but it's something we can do together. Another example, I kind of got into golf. I'm not an athlete, so what I meant to say, sadly, I had a father that was an amazing athlete, and I got to watch him do all this stuff. But I didn't get to do any of it with him. I go and watch him drug around watching his softball games, and I'd sit there and watch him throwing the ball with his buddies, warming up. I could, I don't even need all the fingers on my hand to count how many times I threw a baseball with my father. It's pretty sad. So my father was an amazing athlete, and I'm not an athlete. My stepfather was an amazing mechanic. I'm not a mechanic either. I was, again, wasted time and opportunity of things I could have learned from him. So the things that I know how to do, working on dirt bikes, and I learned from other men and other people. And nowadays you got YouTube too, so it works out pretty good. But sad. So I'm not I like golf, but I'm not a good golfer. I'm not an athlete. So I was golfing with some guys from work and kind of liked it. And the kids were interested in it, so we program, the first tee program. It's inexpensive, and even at first they provide the clubs and everything. So the kids were doing that, and they enjoyed it. So now it was an opportunity. So Saturday mornings, take the kids out, and we'd go to the par 3 course and play golf. So I started that with Haley and Ronnie, and come to find out, Shauna came and talked to me and said Haley had spoke to her and told her that she didn't like golf, but she was doing it because she loved the time with me, and just the time walking on the golf course and trying to whack at a little golf ball. And even as frustrating as it was for her, it was important to her to have that time with me. That's the desire, right? Our teenagers want to spend time with us, that we have their heart, and usually they want to be with their friends and they don't want to be around their parents. And so that really got me. So what I did was, when she was little, when I was in Italy, I was the church treasurer, and so every Saturday I had to deposit the money. Then I had to get it converted to euro to pay the rent and everything else. It was just something, I was running errands, and so I would take her with me. She was like 3 at the time. And she'd go with me, and we'd stop at the bookstore, and usually it was always a Curious George book. I'd buy her a different book. We're at the bookstore. Then it's Italy, so I get a cappuccino, and they make her a little hot chocolate. And we'd sit, and she'd have her hot chocolate, I'd have my cappuccino, and then we'd go home, and of course then I had to read her the book because she couldn't read yet. That is one of her fondest memories. She has told each of her siblings about it, and that's how she burns through books now. She has a passion for reading, and I can't keep, she goes through books all the time. And so now that's what we do. And, it's just, a month ago, and she wanted to bring her little sister with her to experience what she used to do with me. And so we went to Barnes and Nobles, and they both picked out books, and we got some dessert, and so that's what we do now. And I still got golf with my boys, so we're good there. and then it's not just what I like to do, right? So Shauna loves hiking, so we also go hiking. She really likes to do that. Usually I end up with an extra 30, almost 40 pounds on my back with Elena on my back and hiking to these waterfalls. So it's a good workout. It's like I'm in the Navy, so I don't wear rucksacks a lot and go on 10-mile marches, but I get to do that hiking. But we have fun because that's what Shauna likes to do, and Shauna likes to scuba dive, so I got certified for that. So she likes the dirt bike. I love the dirt bike. She goes and she enjoys it. She loves scuba diving. I don't like scuba diving, right? But I do it because she needs a dive buddy, and I'm learning to like it. I'm learning to like it now, but I did not like it at first. But Ronnie and Haley are now interested in it. They want to try it. So we're going to do a trial and see if they're going to get certified. And now there's something else that we're sharing each other's passions. But in that, I made sure the kids know that I didn't like to scuba dive. Just like how Haley had let us know that she didn't like to play golf, but that time was important to her. So she was willing to compromise and do something that she didn't particularly like to do just to have that family time. I thought that's a lesson in that family time that my boys can learn that not being self-centered and it's all about what I like to do, but when you're married, what does your wife like to do, and doing things that she likes to do too, so it's a good example. And then we do game nights, and then even family time is chores, right? So I have to wash the vehicles, so the kids come out with me and wash the vehicles. Sometimes it's frustrating because it takes longer. Every one of them, when they were little, first they start washing their bike while I was washing my motorcycle, and the next thing you know, as I'm drying the motorcycle or drying the vehicle, now they decided to start washing it again, and I got soap suds all over it and everything else. So it takes patience. If that was my stepfather, he would have lost his patience, screaming and yelling, and so those are the things that I keep in mind. That when my kids look back on the memories, it was, they're a heritage of the Lord, right? And we only have them for a short period of time. That Dad enjoyed their company. He was patient with them. He didn't. I have lots of memories of short tempers and no patience, and that's not what I want my children to have. But even doing those chores, and now the boys, they've gotten good. They could do the van by themselves. I don't let them touch my Jeep without my supervision, but they can do Mom's van. But I still go out there and do it because in all this stuff, it's the conversations, the things that we're talking about, right? And we talk from a range of, good stewardship. Hey, look what the Lord has blessed us with, and we need to take care of it, right? We're thankful that we have this, and we're maintaining it. And then just, how their days went, what are they, you get to know their hearts and their desires, strengths, and weaknesses, and just something as simple as working together, washing a vehicle, and knowing their heart, and it's even our washer and dryer had issues, and I tore those things apart. YouTube, yay, figured out how to do it. The boys were helping me. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fix this thing, but I thought, hey, well, we'll at least tear it apart, and the boys can see how it works. And it took longer with them helping me, but we got through it. We put it back together. It worked, and we praise God. The first time we put the dryer together, and we turned it on, and it was working, and right, me and Ronnie fist bump, praise God. 30 seconds later, it turned off, and there was multiple problems. We fixed 3 of the 4 problems, and the motor burned up, so then we had to go get a motor and replace it. So we got real proficient at tearing this dryer apart. And then we talked about it. What do we learn from this, right? Well, one, remember how you take something apart so you know how to put it back together. Make sure you have all the right tools. But then, hey, this was something that, again, some people would have just, went and bought a new one and thrown it on the curb, or said, oh, I don't know how to do that, and got a repairman to do something, and how much money that would have cost. And we talked about those things, and kind of those life lessons, kind of modeling, um, not to be wasteful and be good stewards, and building memories, right? Just those memories. We've done vacations, right? And they don't talk about. We went home, big amusement park back home. That's the one thing we did every summer was we went to this amusement park it's called Cedar Point. We went there. So last time I went home, I made a big deal, took the kids there and everything else. They don't talk about that amusement park or those rides. They talk about, the going to buy a $2 Curious George book and getting a cup of hot cocoa, right? They talk about the camping trips, the roasting the marshmallows, the silly songs that we sing, and those memories that they have. So, so I'm not saying you got to go spend a lot of money, buy dirt bikes, golf lessons or something, but find something that you can do together as a family that you're passionate about and build those memories. Whether it's a bike ride, or a day at the beach. And I know a lot of everyone does, and I'm not perfect at it. There's times where I said I have to plan it. So we got to the point now where it's all right, we're going to try and do, I try and go dirt biking once a month. The schedule usually doesn't work out, so it's usually, every 2 months we get out there, go on a hike. All right, we're going to go to the beach. And if we're going to go scuba diving, that's right now it's just me and Shauna. So then we do a movie night or something, and the kids just love it because then I go and buy different the different candies, and we make these mixed bags, and we just all just snuggle up in the living room and eat candy and watch silly movies. I'll close with this. So the one thing, and Pastor said, I have never heard anyone say, I wish I did not spend so much time with my kids. You're never going to hear anyone say that. It's always the opposite, right? No matter how much you do it. I missed out with my oldest daughter, years that I'm never going to get back, and especially with all my deployments and everything else. I don't have those memories. She's 23, and she's married, got a granddaughter on the way. And so I can't make up for that and recoup that time, but I can do that with at least build those memories with my granddaughter and model it that way. And there's still some opportunities to spending time with my daughter, but not like I could have or I should have. We only have them for a short period of time, right? And as Pastor says, once the bowman lets that arrow go, it's gone. Wherever it was aimed and how much the trajectory and how much power you put behind that bow, it's loosed and you're not getting that one back. So, thank you, Pastor.